Good morning and welcome to Saturday special of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. I've traveled the world over, not once, not twice, but many times. And I was really amazed to find that Ganesh worship is almost universal. It may not be there in most of the Europe, but if you look at the total humanity, it exceeds practically all religions. And it's Catholic, it's not tied to one religion. I saw, witnessed, observed Ganesh worship in Japan, Mexico, Thailand, Indonesia, and so on. And the universality of Ganesh is because of the symbolism. Let's not forget that India is a time of Vedas, which means knowledge has always been a knowledge-oriented civilization. I agree that there was a time when it was no longer a knowledge-oriented civilization. But this Indic pursuit of knowledge has not been limited to the outer world, but uniquely contains a full exploitation of the inner world of consciousness. And that is what is exhibited in Ganesh. Ganesh is universal because of his symbolism. He is a primary icon of India's knowledge-based civilization and represents power of knowledge at all levels. He is the Lord of wisdom, speech, science, mathematics, philosophy, and practical spirituality. He is invoked first before any session of knowledge, performance of ritual, or yoga practice. As a matter of fact, worshipping Ganesh means connecting to a great guru and ultimately supreme guiding power of cosmic intelligence. So, his worship around the world is because of his symbolism, but I'll come to symbolism later on. Let's see how far it is spread. Now, Hinduism is world's oldest surviving religion. The concepts, the rituals, pilgrimage sites, cosmological systems, and knowledge of Hindus, especially Hinduism incarnate, have helped. I'm particularly referring to Vedanta. They have helped survive and thrive through numerous invasions and disasters. Vedic yajna, yoga, Ayurveda has saved innumerable people. The knowledge of dharma, in one form or the other, is practiced and adapted. It may not be the same, it's an adaptation. And almost all Eastern religions, Sikhism, Jainism, Buddhism, have their roots in Hinduism. And so you see the adaptation of God represented through Ganesh, the typical God. Everywhere, from sculptures, you'll see the sculptures representing Ganesh in one form or the other in Persia, Iran modern day. I've seen it in Central America, Mexico, Peru, Argentina. It is in Iran, which is modern Persia. It's in China, Afghanistan, Thailand, Japan, Cambodia. The footprints of Ganesh are so wide and widespread that they can be observed almost 2,000 years back. Now, before I come to the reasons and the symbolism which makes Ganesha almost a universal icon, let's see how Ganesha is worshipped in the world regions and religions. And I'm not talking about Ganesha being worshipped in India. Incidentally, before I proceed further, there was a comment yesterday by Singh Jaspal, and very pertinent comment, and he said why Ganesh is considered so pious in Maharashtra than other places, and why should the statue be placed, some say at the entrance of the house, outside and not inside. But I have seen statues decorated in the drawing rooms. You are right. Maharashtra he is worshipped because of the Peshwas. It was the Peshwas of Maratha Empire during the decline of Aurangzeb that they started worshipping in a big way Ganesh. And that governmental support made it an icon which people and populace followed, and they preserved that tradition. Ganesh is a god of, as I said, prosperity, good luck, success. And it's placed outside so that the money, the wealth flows in the house. The knowledge comes in the house. Prosperity comes in the house. Good luck comes in the house. So it's placed at your house entrance, and secondly, it's always should be, according to the tradition, placed in pairs, because then the maximum goodness is derived. And according to Vastu Shastra, Ganesh idol should be placed in the east or the west direction of the home, while you can also consider placing it in northeast, but never to the south. And it is always in the drawing room, because drawing room is your show of prosperity. But it should not be near a wall or directly attached to a toilet. Now, Maharashtrians, as I said, have a more affinity towards Lord Ganesh, according to the historian Rajwade. The earliest Ganesh Chaturthi celebration can be traced to the times of Rashtrapaka and Chalakya. Chalakyas were in the 15th century. And then, incidentally, let me tell you, there are two Purans which are dedicated to Ganesh. One is Ganesh Puran, the other is Mudgala Puran. And these two sacred Hindu religious texts dedicated to Lord Krishna include many stories and ritualistic elements relating to Ganesh. The two Puranas are core scriptures for devotees of Ganesh. They are composed somewhere between the 15th and the 18th century, when there was a conflict between the Hindu Marathas and the Islamic Sultanate of Maharashtra. There is historical evidence that the founder of Maratha Empire, Shivaji, first started celebrating Ganesh Chaturthi, since Ganesh was the family god, what they call it, Kulpati of Peshwas. And then it was publicly celebrated as a festival between 1630 to 1680. And then Bal Gangadhar Tilak revived this tradition. Now coming to the global sector, let's see how Ganesh is practically celebrated in the world. Ganesh is celebrated in Japan in the form of Shingon Buddhism. Shingon Buddhism is a primary school of Buddhism in Japan and one of the few existing Vajrayana lineage of East Asia. Initially it spread over India, and from India it went to China, then traveled towards Cambodia, to Korea and to Japan. And there were two monks who were responsible for it, Amurgar Vijayaraja and Vajrabodhi. So Ganesh worship was carried to Japan by ancient Buddhists in China. Here is all Ganesh is known as the Deva of bliss. But in Japan they call him Kangitan. Kangiten. So Kangitan is invoked for worldly gaze and enlightenment like Ganesha. He is offered sweet confection called Kangidan. So Kangitan is the name, Kangidan is the offering. And this is similar to the offering made in India called Modak. In Japan, Ganesh is also worshipped as god of love by many young girls and the boys who want to succeed in the courtship. In Japan, the deity is associated with good luck and romance. They call it by different names. Sometimes they call him Konikitan, then Kangitan, and so on. So in Japan, almost 30% of the Japanese practically worship Ganesh. Then in Mexico, yes, don't be amazed. Mexico, which borders USA, part of NAFTA, and the air distance between Mexico and India is approximately 16,000 kilometers. And many, many years ago, centuries back, 2000 years back, a god was worshipped in this place with uncanny resemblance to Ganesh. And there are several icons of the deity have been discovered. And his name in Mexico was Viracocha. And then the form of the statue is exactly like that of Lord Ganesh. And here were numerous pre-Columbian towns and temples constructed by Mayans of the terminal classical period. And Mayans also constructed such temples in Brazil, in Peru, in Costa Rica, and in Argentina. Now, Mayan temples architecture is similar to the Hindu temples, and virtually all of them are built in a pyramidal design and tapered towards the top. There is considerable visible from a distance, and one of the first things that you will notice is looking at the pictures of visiting these ruins in reality. You will see as if you come to a South Indian temple. However, the similarities don't end here. Mayan worshipped a god with sparkling similarities to Ganesh, and for the same reason, prosperity, wealth, knowledge. Mayans had a god of good luck, prosperity, and intellectual, and the same had Ganesh, elephant head, and same number of hands as Ganesh. Southern and south central regions of Mexico still worship this god, some tribes do, and manuscripts from Central and North America prove without doubt that Ganesh was worshipped in pre-Columbian times, and the surviving natives, though the English and the Portuguese, Spanish-speaking people may not do it, but the surviving tribes still revere him. Then in Thailand, Ganesh is called Per Finket, and is revered deity of success and fortune, remover of permanent obstacles. It was 1500 years back that Ganesh was worshipped for the first time in Thailand, and there are lovely shrines to Ganesh. One of the most beautiful shrines is Brahmin temple in central Bangkok. If you have been to Bangkok, you will see there is a giant swing. And by the next to the giant swing is this temple called Brahmin temple. And you will find the oldest image of Ganesh. Here Ganesh is achieved education, art, trade. And can you believe it? There is a Department of Fine Arts emblem in Thailand. And Ganesh is depicted in the emblem of Department of Fine Arts. He is honored with swears, motka, and fruit when business is good. He is also considered a god of diplomacy in business. And if you have been to a World Trade Center in Bangkok, you would find there is a high column, and on the top of the column is Ganesh. People offer him incense, flowers. In Nepal, worship of Lord Ganesh, the deity with the 5 elephant faces. In China, there is a temple of King Hussein dating back to AD 531, that the 5 centuries after Christ. That is almost 1500 years back. And the image in that temple of King Hussein, now a Muslim name, temple is of King Hussein, and image is of Lord Ganesh. In Indonesia, you can safely say that Indonesia's favorite god is Ganesh. As by the way, it's a discussion, but the airline of Indonesia is called Garuda Airline. So Hinduism had reached Indonesian area in the 1st century, and at least it's 2000 years old. Hinduism was followed by the Most of the Indonesians in Bali, Java, Sumatra. And Indonesian god of wisdom is Ganesh. There is one Ganesh which is 1 century before Christ, and it was discovered on the top of Mount Raksa in Peniton Island in central Java. It confirms that region has worshipped Ganesh for a long time, and it is found in every Shiv temple through the islands. You can see Ganesh in the historic Prambanan Hindu temple in Indonesia, and that's in Yogyakarta. So thus we have seen that it's practically the whole of South Asia, Southeast Asia, East Asia, parts of China, even Europe and Latin America, Ganesh has been worshipped. Now comes the question, why? This is, as I said earlier, is because his symbolism, he symbolizes wealth, symbolizes knowledge, symbolizes much more than that is good luck. Now, you see he has one mouth and 2 ears, so you speak less and listen more. In Indic philosophy, importance was given to listening, and people talk endlessly for pleasure. But when you stop talking and listen, then you understand what has been said. So, Ganesh's 2 elephantine ears show that be a good listener. Now, in this connection, I'll tell you a story of Buddha. He once addressed a gathering and he said, do not forget to complete your duties before going to sleep. Now, the disciples' duty is to meditate, so they would meditate before going to sleep. But a thief also heard this Buddha's injunction. He said, well, what's my duty? My duty is to commit a theft, to rob people. So Buddha has endorsed me, so I should continue to rob people every day before I go to sleep. Now, that only shows that you did not listen, you just heard. Listening is with an open mind. And that is the symbol of Ganesha. Listen with an open mind. This is what is the main part of mindfulness. The purpose of depicting Ganesh with a huge ears is to show that he listens carefully and attentively to the word of others. Now, you may ask, what's the evidence? If you look at Ganesh Purana, you will find the whole depiction of Ganesh denotes a human being, and then the statues, what the characteristics he should possess. Now, huge, I'm coming to the parts now. Ganesh's huge belly has a specific meaning. It denotes that one should learn to stomach and just digest all problems of life and overcome them. Digest all problems. Don't expose them. Don't throw them out. Overcome them. Then his tongue of an elephant tells us that you must develop skills. This large limb, the trunk, is capable of picking a tiny needle from the ground, and it can uproot a large tree. So imagine picking up a tiny acorn, a tiny needle from the ground. So that is skills that two are diametrically opposed, and tongue can do it. So this depicts that do not depend on one skill, have multiple skills. Then the broken tusk reveals that you should master your likes and dislikes. Your likes and dislikes are like ivory, extremely valuable. And if they are extremely valuable, they should be protected. Then there is a small axe in the hand of Ganesh. It's a tool that tells you to cut away your desires and infatuations. Detachment, cut, remove, be absorbed. Then the mouse at the foot of Ganesh, he rides a mouse, is waiting for orders from the master. Mouse is likened to desires, the offerings, fruit, eatables, induce temptation, but mouse will not eat them. Their modak is offered, fruits are offered, but mouse, the desire is only waiting for the master. So the symbolism shows that desires should be slaves, not a master. So you will continue to expound on the figure of Ganesh and its underlying meanings. But let's make sure that the intellect discerns what is right and what is wrong. As a matter of fact, I remember from Ganesh Purana, he said, it's whosoever or whatsoever said it, it's wise to grasp the truth, no matter from whom it comes. Now, Ganesh is the Lord, as I said earlier, wisdom, speech, science, mathematics, and yoga and rituals. So when you connect with Ganesh, you're connecting with all the virtues, all the powers of the cosmic intelligence. Now, why an head of an elephant, you might ask? Ganesha indicates superhuman intelligence beyond the limits of human mind and brain. The elephant indicates vastness, steadiness, and most important, mystery. Only when you lose your own head, meaning you silence your mind, can you access the power of infinite space and discover the real meaning of your magical existence. Now, that being multifaceted, multi-hued symbolism of Ganesha, is it any wonder that he is universally revered, respected, worshipped? You may not believe in the religious aspect, but the secular aspects, pursuit of knowledge, art of listening, shifting of the truth from the falsehood, digesting facts and information, all these are basically universal needs. And Ganesha fulfills them. And that's why he acquires a universal acceptability devoid of all religious connotation. But since Hinduism at one time spanned at least 3 continents, naturally the worship is expensive and extends over all the period. And Ganesha achieved universality and is being continued to be worshipped even in those countries where Hinduism is not there. For example, in Indonesia, the largest Muslim population. And as I told you, the airline is called Garuda Airline. I had an experience, I was talking to some very senior officials, actually the Prime Minister of Indonesia. And I asked him, well, why have you named your airline after a Hindu god, rather the career? He says, well, we have changed the religion. We have not changed our culture. So culturally, Ganesha is worshipped all over the world. And that fact remains unchangeable, unaltered. Thank you.